Dhananjay Sinha now joins in, Head of Institutional Research at Emkay Global Financial Services. Dhananjay, hi, good morning. What's your sense looking at the current market setup? Do you get a sense that you should participate even at current levels, or would you advise someone to hold on now, wait for a bit of a correction to enter?
No, I think the market has run up quite a bit. I think the way we are looking at the market is, if you actually look at the stocks that have run up, there has been a considerable amount of rally with respect to the mid-cap names. So I think the important thing to really look at is the volume that is behind the rally, and increasingly we are seeing people somewhat getting nervous to get into these stocks which have actually run up, given the context that the entry and exit from these stocks can be somewhat tricky and difficult. So I think people are getting a little cautious, notwithstanding the fact that the prices have actually still been showing an uptrend. So I think that's the first sign of nervousness. So I think we'll need to be somewhat cautious about that. I think in this context, what we are thinking is that the investor should actually look at larger cap quality names, even in the mid cap where liquidity is good. I think that's how I look at that's how we are looking at the markets as of now.
Okay. Hi Dhananjay, good to see you in today. I'm going to ask you about the likes of GSPL and Hindalco, which are going to be in focus on account of the Supreme Court hearing with regards to the coal block allocation case. In your sense, do you think that maybe the worst could be factored in for a GSPL, which has already corrected around 19 to 20% since the 22nd of or the 25th of August itself? That's when the first Supreme Court hearing had come out.
No, I think it is very difficult to really say whether the worst is priced in or not. I think a lot will, unless we know what the final judgment of the Supreme Court is. In this context, one doesn't know whether the entire 200 plus blocks that have been considered illegal by the Supreme Court, all of them will be cancelled or not. The government has given a list of 46 blocks, coal mines where they think that work has started, and hence there is a certain implication with respect to the operations of existing power plants, etc. But one doesn't know what the final judgment is. If the Supreme Court really cancels all of them and advises the government to actually go ahead with an auction or a re-auction, it is likely that the re-auctioned mines will come at a higher price to the companies and the power companies, especially for metal companies which have had captive mines. And it's likely that if the re-auction price is higher, companies such as JSPL and Hindalco would get adversely impacted. So similarly, for power companies, people who are actually making abnormal profit in the current context will be hurt because there will be a shrinkage in margin and the cost will be higher. And one doesn't know for the power company whether they will have the independence to set the power tariffs to actually compensate for the higher fixed cost arising from the new re-auction. So we'll have to wait and watch. So that's my view on that.
Okay. Dhananjay, the stock of this month so far has been Bharti Airtel, up 11% this month. What's your call on this one and the entire telecom pack?
I think the telecom pack has an issue with respect to the reliance on government with respect to spectrum auction, etc. But I think the recent data points seem to be somewhat heartening, especially in the context of the usage of data usage by users, and that has actually been able to improve the realization for the telecom company. So I think that's a good thing. One doesn't know whether this is because of the election related activities or is it something that will prolong. But per se, it has actually resulted in a very positive outcome for the space in the first quarter of this year.
Okay. Do you think that Cipla can see further gains from current levels that it's trading at? For example, it's up 40% on a YTD basis, but the likes of Sun Pharma are up 50%. So do you think that there's further room for upside for the likes of Cipla?
No, we are fairly positively inclined on the pharma space since December of last year. And I think it has paid off well. All the pharma names that are doing fairly fine. You know, the large cap names have actually rewarded investors very handsomely, and it does look like that the interest is actually shifting towards the mid-cap pharma companies. So I think I would consider Cipla to remain positive. You know, I don't know whether it can run up further from here, but it should actually continue to be a positive, positive return even from here. I don't know, it will be substantially higher from here.
Dhananjay, what about...
So Lupin is another one we have been liking.
Okay. Dhananjay, what about Ponge Lloyd? That stock is up 18% this week now, coming back in the limelight. Still about 30% off its previous highs, 52-week high. But what's your call on this one?
No, I won't have we don't.
Okay.
I won't have a call on that.
Okay, so in the mid-cap basket, what stocks do you like, and if you could give 3 or 4 names?
No, so we have been marketing SRF, Pennar, and VMart is something. VMart is a much smaller name, but we see considerable amount of potential over there with respect to the retail business that it is doing in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So I think they are doing fairly fine. So these are the names as far as the mid cap is concerned. In the agri space, we think Coromandel, United Phosphorus is something that we think is not really value appropriately. So these are the companies that we have been, and DCM is something that we think still can actually go up. We have been advocating DCM for quite some time. It has actually done fairly fine. This is a positive cash flow. There is a structural change in the company. We think that it can run up even further.
Would you have a view on CESC? Because that stock has seen a considerable run, and all the target prices that have come out with brokerages that have a buy on the stock is over 800 rupees. It's currently at 770. What is your call on CESC?
CESC you're saying, right?
Yes.
CESC, we have a buy rating on this, and I think the company has been doing fine with respect to its retail and power business. So I think it's a buy for us.
Okay.
It'll still do well.
Dhananjay, a word on a couple of these names which have been re-rated, TVS Motor and maybe something like a Seat.
Which one?
Seat and TVS Motor.
Seat, I think Seat, the rubber price has actually been declining. So I think there is a general impact on the margins for the tire companies. So I think that should actually, that's creating a positive framework for the profit growth or earnings growth for the tire companies. Seat may be also rising on the back of that.
Okay.
Which is the TVS. The TVS one, TVS is essentially, a volume story, and there is a rebound as far as the volume growth is concerned on the back of a very weak base level volume. But the concern we have over there is the margin. So margins is not really been expanding along with the increase in volume. So we are not very positively inclined on the stock.
Okay, fair enough. Dhananjay, any disclosures you'd like to leave us with?
No, nothing.
Okay. All right, Dhananjay. Thanks very much for joining.